Just this week, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick listed his top 10 priorities heading into the next year's legislative session. Improper teacher-student conduct is one of them.
Patrick stated the problem has seen a rapid increase. Tonight, we hear from an ex-Permian high school teacher who prosecutors say was part of that problem. Local 2's Tyler Thomason has part 1 of this exclusive report.
Tonight, in an exclusive interview, Dee Burns tells us why he's appealing his case, and we're learning what Superintendent Tom Crow said during a special staff meeting when he found out this growing problem was spreading to Ector County. Draped in a white, wrinkled jumpsuit, former Permian high school teacher Dee Burns makes his way to a chair in front of our cameras at the William P. Clements Prison in Amarillo.
We do have a little bit of time if you want me to walk through everything that happened.
The 45-year-old is 6 months into a 60-year sentence for charges that include engaging in an improper relationship with students, stalking, and sexual assault.
You don't agree with those charges?
I don't agree with the way they charge me, absolutely not.
Charges that he says stem from circumstantial evidence, stories taken out of context, and a county's effort to clean up a school district's unflattering few years of scandals.
I see in my case that the state used it against me because they wanted an example. They wanted somebody to pay for all of the others that had gotten off the hook.
Burns is referring to several Ector County ISD educators who faced charges or accusations for illegal relationships with students in a span of just a few years.
The superintendent, Mr. Crow, came to our campus. We had a meeting in the library after school, and he said, if you're accused in the future, we will go for the jugular, and we will make you pay.
Following that stern warning, it was only months later that Burns would find himself facing his own set of accusations.
What was the website?
It was FetLife.
FetLife, an adult website where court documents say Burns struck up conversation with an 18-year-old Permian high school female student.
When I found out who she was and that she was a student, I told her we're not going to talk like this.
Any mentions of fetishes, just to be clear, because this is a fetish website?
At the onset, there were questions about that, not after I found out she was a student.
The digital dialogue evolved into real-life meetings. Burns says the student began showing up near his classroom and even his apartment complex. Burns says he felt compelled to help the student because she told him she was depressed. Burns tells me contact between he and the student lasted about a week and a half. Court documents state it ended with Burns sexually assaulting her.
What sexually related happened between you two?
Nothing. Nothing. She tried to kiss me, and she tried to get physical.
Where and when did that happen?
At my apartment, when she showed up at my apartment.
She came into your apartment?
Yes.
Now, in your mind, you know she's a student at Permian.
Yeah.
You're a teacher at Permian.
Yeah.
You've already had this discussion with Mr. Crow prior to this. Why let her into your apartment?
Trying to visit with her, trying to see what the heck was going on. I mean, when somebody says, you know, I'm depressed and I'm this and I'm that.
It was shortly after court documents state Burns exhibited a similar pattern of behavior with another female Permian high school student, this one 16 years old. According to an affidavit, the two also met on FetLife, but Burns says they met at school and she later became his babysitter. Prosecutors say interaction between Burns and the student also resulted in sexual assault.
You know, it's a he said, she said. Where's any physical evidence?
Oftentimes people charged with sexual cases like this, they don't see that they did anything wrong.
Ector County District Attorney Bobby Bland admits there were a lot of details to the case and several pieces of evidence that had to be developed. We asked court officials to examine some of the evidence, but it remains sealed as Burns is appealing his plea deal in the case.
They see a 16-year-old high school student in a 45-year-old teacher's apartment together, and they may think that doesn't...
With my daughter present in the context of babysitting or eating a couple of slices of pizza after babysitting. Don't leave that out.
Burns says he was coerced into a confession. He has since parted ways with his attorney, whom he says didn't defend him at all.
As you left the courtroom, you looked at the prosecution team. What'd you say?
I said, you're evil. I told them that they were evil.
And tomorrow in part 2 of our exclusive report.
I wouldn't be here if somebody had actually investigated this.
The money is going to allow us to hire additional investigators.
Students and teachers in a home by themselves, babysitting. What's your opinion? Do you have a message for J.D. Burns?
Well, that's a tough one.
Join us tomorrow night as we explain what new laws are being proposed and what kinds of resources may be added to help prevent more cases like the one involving J.D. Burns. In the studio, Tyler Thomason, Local 2 News.